Saint Rita of Cascia, often called the Saint of the Impossible, is a powerful example of faith, perseverance, and God's grace at work in the most difficult circumstances. Born in the small village of Roccaporina, Italy, in 1381, Rita grew up with a deep love for Christ. Even as a young girl, she felt a strong calling to become a nun, but her parents arranged for her to marry instead. Obedient to her parents' wishes, Rita entered into a challenging marriage. Her husband, Paolo Mancini, was a violent and abusive man, but Rita endured this suffering with faith and prayer, always hoping for his conversion. Through her prayers and gentle example, Paolo eventually changed, becoming a more peaceful man. However, their happiness was short-lived, as Paolo was murdered in a vendetta, a common occurrence during that time in Italy. Rita was devastated, but her faith never wavered. She forgave her husband's murderers and prayed that her two sons, who sought revenge, would not carry out the violence. In response to her prayers, God intervened, and her sons both died of illness before they could act on their vengeful intentions. Now widowed and childless, Rita sought to enter the Augustinian convent in Cascia. Initially, the nuns refused her because she had been married and her family was involved in a local feud. Yet, after persistent prayer and miraculous signs, Rita was eventually accepted. She spent the rest of her life in the convent, living in deep communion with Christ through prayer, fasting, and acts of charity. One of the most remarkable events in Rita's life occurred toward the end of her time in the convent. While meditating on the Passion of Christ, she received a thorn wound on her forehead, a mystical participation in the sufferings of Jesus. This wound remained with her for the rest of her life, a visible sign of her deep union with Christ's suffering. Rita died in 1457, and her canonization came centuries later, in 1900. Known as the patron saint of impossible causes, people today turn to Saint Rita for her intercession in the most challenging situations, trusting that through her prayers, God's grace can work miracles. Her feast day is celebrated on May 22nd, reminding us Christians that no matter how impossible our situations seem, with faith, forgiveness, and love, we can overcome even the greatest challenges, just as Saint Rita did. She continues to inspire believers to hold on to hope and trust in God's plan, no matter how difficult life becomes.